What's up, guys? This is the Extra Points podcast with the college football experience. We are the college football experience. As you can see, it's just me today, but we got a special guest. We got our buddy Logan that has been on the show a time or two before. We're going to be talking some Auburn football today. We were recently did a Georgia episode with our friend Brandon, but man, we got to get the hometown team on. We got to get my favorite team on, the Auburn Tigers. We have to talk about them. But first, man, y'all continue to subscribe. Y'all continue to watch our campus videos. We worked really hard on those. And let's dive into it. Logan, my friend, how are you doing today, man? Long time no see.
I'm great. How about yourself?
Going good, man. Just trying to learn about these teams in spring because we have a couple teams that have already started spring practice. Auburn's been in spring practice for
2
almost a
days.
week now.
They've practiced twice,
A
but
couple
it's
days.
been a week. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
it's
So
spring break in the middle.
okay. Yep. That's the reason why. Yep. So we do have a couple teams starting to get rolling, but just kind of get a little update on Auburn because we have had some staffing turnover. We've gotten some big recruits in the door. So, Logan, Hugh Freeze is going to be taking over play calling for the 2024 season. We do know that he called plays in the Iron Bowl, the game that we went to. I think he called plays during the Georgia game too, honestly, because those game plans did kind of mirror each other very, very well. What do you expect from Auburn with him calling the plays? And do you think that bringing Derek Nix over from Ole Miss, do you think he'll have any influence on the play calling, or do you think we just expect Hugh just to do his magic?
Yeah, I think Hugh's going to be running the show 100%. But
Yeah.
I think the most important thing is he's more comfortable with the staff. So last year, you could tell some weeks he spent more time recruiting, and some weeks he spent more time game planning and being involved with the offense. And if you kept up with recruiting, you could tell with the hot recruiting weeks that he was in it there. And then when they played good, he was in it there. So whatever he was able to put his time in is where they kind of were doing good at during the year.
Yeah.
Now that he's brought in a better recruiting staff, guys he's more comfortable with, people he's worked with in the past, I think he's going to be able to spend more time on football and hopefully see a better product on the field.
Yeah, because I don't even I think he came out and said that like he didn't even do any prep for the bowl game.
Yeah,
Like
he was
he
like brutally
just
honest about
recruiting,
it. Yeah,
which
he
is
was
why
maybe a little too transparent. I appreciate the
yeah,
transparency, but I'm sure some people were a little turned off by it.
yeah. I mean, because if you told me 7 or 8 years ago that you'd have a head coach said that he did no prepping for a bowl game and that he was just recruiting, I mean, that's just a sign of the times where we're at in the
Crazy.
sport of college football, which is a good thing. Well, which is a good thing that changes have happened because they've already moved the signing periods, but just wild, yeah. But whenever we went to the Iron Bowl, I mean that game plan versus Alabama, you could tell. I mean, the whole time I was like, that boy brother Hugh is cooking. Hugh
Mm-hmm.
is cooking today. And I mean, he's one of the best play callers in all of college football. It'll be his second year with Peyton Thorne, too, if he even ends up the starter, which I think he probably will.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're getting those young weapons in that we will talk about at the wide receiver position here just a little bit later. But I think going into 2024, I think we're going to be set up to be a little more efficient on the offensive side of the ball. That's for sure. And more consistent,
And I
kind
mean,
of like you were pointing to.
it's what he did to get to this point.
Right.
You know, he's a play caller. He's an offensive guy.
Right.
It's how he got here. So
Right.
I didn't like that he didn't do it last year. I don't think he was
Mhm.
ever fully comfortable with Philip Montgomery at all.
Yeah.
Neither one of them ever really seemed like they really loved the marriage.
Mhm.
So I don't think it was very surprising that he's not there anymore. But I think he's going to be more comfortable and happy to be back doing what he's best at. So that's what it
100%.
shows.
Can't wait to see if we're more improved on that side of the ball in 2024. Now, moving from the offensive side of the ball to the defensive side of the ball, we got 2 new defensive coordinators, too. We have our actual defensive coordinator, DJ Durkin. I don't necessarily know if I'm 100% bought in on him, But then we got Charles Kelly, our co-defensive, and I love me some Charles Kelly.
Yeah, Charles Kelly is a elite recruiter. Elite.
Right.
He's not like a great in-game like play calling defensive coordinator, but I don't
Right.
think that I think his co-DC title is more in name than anything else. I think it's more maybe a reason to pay him a little bit more. What he's good at is getting some horses in there and stacking some talent. And he's a really good position coach too, but his recruiting is his forte.
Right.
So I don't expect him to do much with that co-DC title other than get a little extra money.
Right. And TJ Durkin's been at A&M. Has he been there for 2 years or just one?
2.
2? Yeah. And they've had a very solid defense for the past couple of years. That has been the strength of their team, but he's also had lots and lots and lots of talent.
I came prepared with some stats on his last year's defense. They were third in total defense.
Give it to me.
Led the league in sacks, first in rushing defense, and second in tackles for loss. So that's top of the league in the moneymakers.
Yeah, and I mean they did have some studs on the defensive side of the ball, so it's easy to get those stats whenever you do have the horses to run. But I think Auburn's got some young guys that are going to be able to get after it this year. And so going into 2024, do you think with the defensive staff changes, do you think we're going to be net improved, or would you say kind of about the same?
I think they'll be better. I think Hugh has a good relationship with Durkin, and him being a head coach before, I think he will kind of trust him more and kind of leave him to be like a head coach of the defense, and he's going to spend most of his time with the offense. And I think Durkin will have. He's also a really good recruiter. I don't think he gets enough credit for that, but he's got some elite talent that he's recruited before too. But yeah, I think he's a clear upgrade over last year with Mr. Roberts. Not that he was good too, but I think the experience Durkin has learning from Muschamp when he was getting started, who when we were growing up, I think was the best defensive coordinator in the SEC. And I love Muschamp, so I love that he came from his tree.
Well, that's some good news to hear, man. So kind of getting back to the offensive side of the ball, the quarterback position in 23 with Thorne, I mean, that was it wasn't a highlight. It wasn't necessarily awful. It was kind of like a gray area. Like he would for sure have his games, but you couldn't tell if it was the play calling, if it was him, if it was just the scheme itself, if it was the players around him. It was kind of a hodgepodge of the situation with the quarterback. So do we think Peyton Thorne will improve going into 2024? Is he just who he is and he is who he is? Or should we expect to see Walker White kind of come in? Because I've kind of been under my own impression is that it's kind of Peyton Thorne's job, but we'll for sure see some Walker White just because he's that talented. And I think he played in the Army All-American game, and he showed out. I mean, he's huge. He has a cannon of an arm. So I just think he'll be too talented to not get him some reps.
Yeah, I mean, Peyton Thorne last year, it wasn't necessarily – there was moments where you were like, man, this guy's got something to him. And then there was moments where you're like, wow, this guy should never see the field
this guy
in a
sucks.
Division II game. Yeah, he's horrible. So it's hard to judge him because you got to think the guy from the 2021 Michigan State team that what were they 10-2 or something?
Yeah.
He's got to be in there somewhere. So I think a lot of it had to do with the wide receiver room being just abysmal. So I think he'll be better this year. I do think he has a ceiling. Like I don't think he's going to go out and like win a game on his own and be like, wow, Peyton Thorne was a real difference maker today.
Right.
But I think he'll be better with this year's team than he was last year's team.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the second year with Hugh, so they've got some more familiarity, more comfortable together.
Right, and to have that consistency of Hugh being the one calling plays, Hugh will be able to be like, oh, this is what works for Peyton. I mean, because his legs at times were huge. They were huge in the Georgia game. They were really big in the Alabama game. They almost won us the Alabama game. They should have won this Alabama game. Let's
And
be
in
honest.
fairness to him, he didn't go through spring last year, so this is his first
Right.
spring practice at Auburn. So
Right.
to
So
not be too hard on him.
I don't think we'll see much more improvement with his skill wise, but I think we could see more improvement with him being just more comfortable and having better guys around him.
And I, on the flip side of that, I do think his leash will be shorter this year
Yeah.
because you got Walker nipping at his heels. They really like the
Yeah.
Hank Brown kid too. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think the leash will be shorter because you'll have somebody that can actually come in and make some plays to
Yeah.
if he can't do it.
Which can kind of be a negative because we know how brutal Auburn fans can be. You start screwing up with the quarterback position, you'll for sure hear the boo birds pretty quick, and that they'll be chatting on Twitter, they'll be chatting on Facebook. Get this guy out, he sucks.
No doubt.
Because we have seen it time and time again. They freaking ran they ran Bo Nix off. He's about to be a first round pick. So it
No comment.
Yeah. So it happens. Freshmen, because we signed, I think we were the number 9 class in the country. 8. Number 8 class in the country. And we signed some stud guys. We flipped a couple guys from Florida. Shout out Will and Cody. We flipped them. And we flipped Cam Coleman from Texas A&M. Massive pickup. Who do you think out of all those freshmen that we signed are some guys that we could see make an instant impact?
I mean, Cam's the easy answer because you see pictures from him in the 2 practices, and he looks like he doesn't even belong on the same
Julio
field.
Jones.
Yeah, he looks unbelievable.
He freaking looks like Julio Jones.
Yeah, he looks like an absolute. He looks like he was built in a lab. But aside from him, the other stud wide receiver, Perry Thompson, I think he'll play a lot and be really good. I think the 2, you'll see a lot of freshmen on the defensive line and at the buck, jack, edge position, whatever you want to call it. So Jamonte Waller will probably play a lot there. And then a sleeper that you probably wouldn't guess would be DJ Barber. He was not as high rated as everybody else, but he's one of those guys that they just like love talking about. He's just a football player. So I think he'll find his way on in some way. He played in the Alabama State Championship game, and they actually beat Ryan Williams' team. So they were driving to win. Ryan Williams was driving to win. DJ was at linebacker. They got down on the goal line, and time was running out. They had 1 play to win, and the quarterback kind of scrambled a little bit, and DJ just comes crashing across the field and knocks his head off and wins the state championship for his team. So he's one of those guys.
Big time players make big time plays in big time games. I absolutely love to be able just to know that we got those guys that are on the roster that have they've been in situations like that before, and just guys that love to be able to come in and compete and that just love to play ball and that can play
used to
ball.
Winning.
Yeah. So really get a winning culture started. Now going from players that we think could pop to position groups that we think really need to step up, where some guys could have left, some guys could have transferred out. We just don't have the experience. Just a group that we think really needs to step up for Auburn to be successful in 2024.
The offense, the receivers, the easy answer. They were just awful last year, but the guys we just talked about will help boost it this year. And then defense, the defensive line will have to be a lot better. And they're probably still looking for at least 1 or 2 more pieces to add to it in the spring portal. So they're not a finished product there, but defensive line is probably going to be a little thin and might be a little bit of a weakness, but we'll see.
Which is so strange because that's for years in and years out. That's just what Auburn was known for. Was having 1 to 2, maybe 3 really elite guys on the defensive line, but also just having that depth where you were able to rotate 7 or 8 and at times 9 guys where you just have the bodies that are just going in and out. And I also don't know if that was I mean, where we just stopped recruiting at the end of the Gus Malzahn era to where recruiting was non-existent in the Harsin era, and it's just kind of biting us in the butt now.
Yeah, it is. And
Yeah.
but they're well on their way back to getting it back in
Mhm.
that position because they signed a really good defensive line class in this past class, and then the 25 class that they're working on now, they were off to a hot start there. They already have 3 or
Mhm.
4 committed that are all good players, blue chip players. So, and they're looking to add some more. So
Right.
they're moving it back in the right direction.
And things just take some time. So, I mean, I'm perfectly willing to be patient because I know the position that Freeze was in whenever he got to Auburn. I just hope other Auburn fans do too, because like I said earlier, man, we're brutal on our players, but good Lord, we're even more brutal on our coaches.
No
So
doubt.
the SEC changed schedules, will change scheduling models for 2024 and beyond. It's the 3-5-5, where you play your 3 teams every year and then you rotate 5. I think this benefits Auburn significantly. I mean, greatly. Like, because we don't play LSU this year, and so that helps. But we still play Bama on the road. We still play Georgia on the road. We don't play Ole Miss every year. We don't play Texas A&M every year. So we're for sure gonna be blessed with a better schedule. And 2024 is our easier schedule that we've had in, I mean, probably
Our life.
our life.
That might
That's
be exaggerating, but yeah, it's the
yeah.
easiest looking one in a long time. It's still not a cakewalk by any means,
Oh,
but
yeah,
it's
because we
definitely
still get
a
Texas
lighter
A&M,
one
we
for
still get
Auburn.
Oklahoma, we still go to Athens, we still go to Alabama,
To
um,
Missouri.
to Missouri. I was about to say, I think I'm missing one, and it's to Missouri. How do you think Auburn's gonna fare? Because I think our win total is 7.5. This isn't an official prediction, but just how do you think we're gonna fare going into 2024 with that new type of scheduling model?
I think the 7.5 is a perfect number. I
So do I.
think I'm optimistic that they'll get to 8. Maybe the ball bounces their way and they get to 9. That would be like
A
amazing if
fantastic
they got to
season.
9. Yeah, but 8 and
Right.
4 is my hope. 7 and 5 I'd be okay with. I mean,
Mhm.
that would be improvement from last
Understandable.
year. But if they fall below 7, that would be disappointing
Yeah.
and I think a failure.
Because we honestly, we should have won 7 games last year. Like,
Yep.
we should have won 7 games last year. We showed we could compete with Georgia on a good day. We showed we could compete with Alabama on a good day. Um, and with, like, not having to play LSU, not having to play Texas A&M, we're gonna be playing more teams where we're on a neutral playing field with the talent rosters.
Mhm.
So I think that's gonna benefit us greatly.
No doubt.
And this isn't a burn at Vandy, but we get to play Vandy.
Yeah, that helps.
Shout out Bo.
Although although Vanderbilt did bring in like half the New Mexico State staff, so I'm gonna be
Dude,
more nervous about
I
that
know.
than I should be.
I know. And it's at Vandy too.
No, it's at home this year.
See, I'm
I
an
mean,
idiot, brother.
24. It'll
Yeah,
be since we went there last year, they're coming to Auburn this year.
true. Very, very true. But still, we still got to play them New Mexico State guys. Man,
Yep.
I love the quick little catch up. Just a quick little update on Auburn. I mean, any other information that you got for us? Any more tea? Any more hot takes about Auburn?
No, I don't think so. I think we pretty much covered it. I don't
I
I
I
don't have
man, well,
anything else in the holster.
I enjoy talking to you. Love getting a little update on our Auburn Tigers. Y'all continue to look out for little episodes like this. I think we're gonna do one on Clemson here soon, and then we're gonna be looking to maybe get like a Florida State fan on as well to give these little spring updates. So thank thank y'all for checking out this episode. Logan, thank you for coming on, my man, and we will talk to y'all later. Peace.